You're now watching a clip from the Inspired by show. You can watch the full episode on our YouTube channel or listen on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. So make sure to head over there, leave us a 5-star rating if you enjoyed it, and follow the show.
There's a concept known as meta leadership. I learnt it from watching videos of a guy who is a professor at Harvard Business School. I don't know if it's his or if he was just teaching somebody else's model. But meta leadership means that actually there is no direction in which we lead people. So stereotypically, we think of leading downwards, leading those people who report directly to us. But actually, leadership has got nothing to do with your job title, the position you hold, or anything like that. It's how we influence and motivate other people to perform to their best. So whether it be in the workplace, and the workplace is still a transactional relationship, you employ somebody to do a job and you pay them to do that. That's transactional. But the leadership element is, how do I encourage, inspire, motivate them to give me their absolute best? When we don't have that natural kind of manager to subordinate relationship, such as publisher to author, then what we're doing is we're actually leading, what in the meta leadership model, we're leading beyond. So we're leading people externally to our organization, but the principle's still the same. How do I communicate with that person so they're motivated to give me what I need from them so that I can hit my publishing deadlines? Because obviously, so if an author just delays everything, that's going to have a knock-on effect to all the other authors that you've got in your pipeline. So how do I need to speak to them? What do they need from me in order for them to give me what I need? It's exactly leading upwards, leading your boss. Actually, what does my boss need from me in order for them to give me what I want from them? It's exactly the same. Peer-to-peer is exactly the same. So if we can take our position, our hierarchy, our sense of ego away from being a leader and actually thinking about human-to-human communication, conversations, relationships, interactions, what does that person need in order for me to get from them what I need, then we're coming from a place of good intent rather than how do I just manipulate them to give me what I want.
Yeah, I'm so glad you used that word, because I heard that a lot with a lot of the training I did on the job was very much like manipulation and trying to get people to work and so on. And I think the challenge I had was I used to always think it was something you had to be born with. You know, there are some people you just see who are just natural. In your opinion, are we born as natural leaders, or is it something that we can be trained to become?
Absolutely anybody can be a great leader. There are natural personality characteristics and attributes that people have in stronger quantities than other people that make becoming a great leader easier. But actually, leadership is a skill. It is something, even those people that have those natural characteristics, they still need to know what they're doing. So, for example, I hear a lot of so-called leadership experts talking on social media and other podcasts and things like that about, you just be a decent person. Well, actually, that's probably about 25% of what you need to be a good leader. It's the foundational stuff, don't get me wrong, but when you're building a house, if you only put the foundations in, you're going to get wet and cold very, very quickly. So if you only rely on being a decent person as a leader, then you're not going to achieve what you want to achieve. Generally speaking, you're being a friend, not a leader. A leader is still required to get the results. So yeah, anybody can be a great leader. It's just the right training delivered in the right way with the right ongoing support to kind of think about how do I apply this model, a model of leadership to this individual? And then anybody can do it.
Yeah, I love that. I totally agree, because I was always, we talked about DISC and obviously we're working with you at the moment to do all of our profiles on our team, and I'm so excited because I love psychology and I love it all. They have no clue, I don't think, what they've got themselves into, but we've said yes and off we go.
Yeah.
But I remember when I can't remember what the profile was. It wasn't DISC, it was some sort of psychometric test, but it had 4 colours, very, very similar to Insights in DISC. Yeah. And I remember I had hardly any red, which in DISC is dominance.
Yes.
And actually my first book is called Determined and Dangerous. I'm actually quite a dominant, direct person as a business leader now. But when back then I didn't have much of that. And I remember the head of HR at the time, who was also a leadership trainer, I'm not saying her name for obvious reasons that will come apparent in a minute, said to me that clearly I would never make a good leader and I should try a different career.
Wow.
And the ironic thing now that I lead my own team and actually I train people on much business growth and brand building. And she also said for me not to become a coach because I wasn't that sort of person, which again, ironic, really.
Okay.
That's what not to do in that situation. But how much do you take those psychometric profiles and say to people that's the right career for you, and how much do you think we can adapt into the other profiles?
I think one of the worst things that we can do is pigeonhole people based on their psychometric profile. Now, don't get me wrong, there are such situations where having a creative person in a data analytical role is probably not going to get the best from them. They might be able to do a decent job for you, but they're certainly not going to thrive. But if we just pigeonhole people, because actually I think the stats are about 80% of the population has more than one characteristic in their profile. So we are, all of us, a blend of all of them. We just lean more towards one or two of them than we do the others. You do get what I refer to as your Swiss Army knife individuals, or your chameleons, who have got the tools for all occasions or can blend into any situation. Lucky gits. But again, it's not designed to see what your skill or your aptitude is. DISC is about how people communicate. Do we communicate in a very direct, decisive sort of way? Do we communicate in a way that is to build rapport? Do we communicate in a empathetic and compassionate way? Do we communicate based on stats and data and information? That's what DISC tells us. It doesn't tell us that you're going to be a fantastic graphic designer or you're going to be a fantastic mathematician. I mean, there are alignments to that, but if we use it to pigeonhole, then we're setting ourselves up on a wrong path, really. We use those kind of surface level ones to understand how to communicate with people and understand them and how they're going to communicate with them in a way that they're going to respond positively.
Yeah.